Hello and welcome to round 2 with Abzan Company. Reasonable hand, you're a combo piece short of just having it. Opponent mulligan, also good, and they are on affinity. So here I'm going to fetch green-white, so I have double white for on offensa and black off the bird. I'm not in the greatest spot if I just get Galv blasted, but hopefully that doesn't happen. My opponent has kind of a scary start with the plating here. And I my opponent's light on cards. Their mana is tied up a little bit in producing creatures, so I'm like, okay, maybe I can tempo them out by Fiend Huntering their creature. The other option this turn was to deploy Viscera Seer and Spellskite. You just want the most mana efficient play there. Partly because Chord is pretty good. I guess I could also play an Offensa and then Fiend Hunter this after taking a hit and put a counter on the bird so it can block the Nexus. That might have been a better line. Does make my hand kind of bad to deploy, and I'm losing the bird. That makes my mana work. I like trying to mise the free win. So unfortunately, this is going to get a little awkward. So I'm suddenly put in a bind where I'm probably just going to be chump blocking with birds. And oh wait, nope, just drew the perfects. I'm dead to his. So like, the other option was that I just ignore the fact that I'm dead to any land or any zero drop, which is probably what I would have done if I hadn't top decked the, again, best card possible. So I deploy all the things I can spend my mana on and attack for one because why not? My opponent learns an important lesson in the mechanics of Melira against Inkmoth Nexus. So here's how it works. Losing and gaining infect, as you notice, nothing happened. Losing and gaining infect are in the same layer. So the order, the permanents, they apply in timestamp order. So it's newest then oldest. Yes. So if, for example, your opponent attacks you with an Inkmoth Nexus and then you chord up Melira, the Inkmoth will. Sorry, oldest than newest. That's how it applies. Anyways, that one. The Inkmoth will. The oldest ability is the Inkmoth gaining infect, so it'll gain infect, and then Melira will apply and it will lose infect. And I'll take damage equal to the amount of damage it would deal. If Melira's in play, it'll lose infect. Well, it doesn't have infect, and then it will gain infect. And then I can't have poison counters added to me, so it just doesn't do anything. So yeah, Inkmoth Nexus versus Melira is very, very, very bad. So here I have chord, so I actually have the combo. But the joke is that like I don't even need my opponent doesn't have anything threatening on me. The only thing they could do is top deck Gal Blast and then kill me with the Nexus. So I'm just supposed to deploy Spellskite to protect from that and attack because again, why not? My opponent plays a card. I draw that so I can now chord. What is it? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, because I draw the land, I can chord through Spell Pierce if they're a maniac and they have it main. But I combo off. Unfortunately, I can't leave up just because of the number of green creatures I have. I can't leave up double white to cast an offensa here, but that's life. And we gain infinite life. Our opponent dies next turn. We have the lock. I don't want to make anyone sit through this. So sideboarding here is pretty simple. Because you want to be as aggressive as possible in finding your heavy hate cards. Where did that go? No, no, no. You're in the deck. You get back here. I did not board you in immediately. Because you are so interested in finding your heavy hate cards, you need to leave in as many chords and collecting companies as possible. And you don't really want cards like Path to Exile because that makes these worse cards. I debated bringing in a Pulse or two over a land. It's close. It's debatable. I'm not entirely sure. So you just board in the good cards. So Kataki, obviously good. Pontiff kills all their stuff, obviously good. Pride Mage, obviously good. And then Selfless Spirit, one of the things against Affinity is that flying's a pretty nice mechanic, and just having a flying blocker with power can take care of a lot of problem situations. I accidentally forgot to take this card out. It should be a Revoker. And I think that I mean I just caught all the a bunch of nonsense cards. But I think that Sculler actually might be reasonable on the play, but on the draw it's just way too slow. You're not going to play it till 2, and they'll have played whatever spell they needed to play by then. Okay, so game 2, Abzan Company versus Affinity. Uh, sure, I'll keep the hand that has Kataki and mana. And my opponent's quick start is a little more Kataki proof than I would like to see. So I take the hit, I play the Kataki because it's just the force play I have. And they only have to lose one artifact. They opt to lose the Ornithopter, smart. And they have a land too. I think if they don't have the extra land, I might be okay. But they just have a bunch of ways to make Kataki a non-issue, which is a problem with the card. It's not always the end-all be-all. My opponent has yet another land and a Ravager, so I should be dead here, and I actually get a little lucky. My opponent makes a subtle misplay, so I'm gonna Pontiff, and so the play from this state, they make a bigger misplay on top of it, but the play from this state is they just sack the Scourge to the Ravager, and then they have a ground attacker that forces me to jump block with stuff, whatever. They try to save the Scourge, and I'm capable of sacrificing Pontiff, haunting my own creature, and then sacking what I haunt, which in this case kind of has to be the Kataki, I think, because my mana is important, and the Seer, I think, is important too. My opponent also just, like, has 3 mana through a Kataki, so who cares? I guess it's only, like, 2 with the plating, but that's more than enough for what they need. So what they were supposed to do to rewind is, if they actually respond to me casting Orzhov Pontiff, by sacrificing Darksteel Citadel to Ravager and then moving the counters from Ravager to Scourge, they have a 3 toughness Scourge that I just can't kill. And then I die. But that's not what happened, so I keep a land on top. Stuff moves around, stuff dies. I get in 3 damage with Kataki because why not? And then my opponent plays multiple creatures that I can't block. And I'm still technically not dead. I get to do something kind of cool. So if Collected Company hits perfect, I get to gain infinite life and win the game. So I opt to sacrifice my mana dorks after floating mana to scry away anything that isn't a combo piece, and then Collected Company breaks and I die anyways. But it was a good job, good effort on my part. So real quick sideboard fix before game 3 against Affinity. I took the Ooze out for a Revoker, I believe. Just can hit plating or whatever. This hand doesn't do anything. It exiles a single creature and plays a Viscera Seer, and that's it. So that's a clear ship. This hand's great. It has interactive piece, core, define whatever I want. All for this. And I do something with that. It doesn't really matter because I'm just shuffling it away. I'm going to play Noble on 1. I'm not going to, like, try to save my scry. So my opponent doesn't deploy anything. I draw Melira. And now that I'm at this point, I don't, I could trade 2 of my life for, a bad. I want to get a green source with this, basically, so I can cord more reliably. And I could trade 2 of my life to play this and attack them for 1, and that just seems stupid. So my opponent plays an Overseer and another Drum, which is going to force my hand on casting Orzhov Pontiff here, because if Steel Overseer untaps, it makes Orzhov Pontiff a dead card. You'll notice I almost messed up what I was tapping and tapped the white source or the black source, which would have been really bad. But my opponent's now left with nothing and, may as well attack. And they kind of play a couple things that aren't super relevant. So I want to cord for Archangel of Thune here. I guess I can cord for Finks or Kataki. Kataki's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't think Itagi does enough, and also it looks like my opponent's trying to like leave up a Galv Blast or something. I think I'd just rather chord for Angel in this situation and kill my opponent with Angel Beats. But I don't have a need to do it right there. My opponent doesn't do anything, so I was like, yeah, whatever. I don't really want to fire in that case. Like I actually get somewhere by activating. So I pump my team with Township, and now my opponent has no good attacks with really anything. I draw the perfect bait spell for like a Spell Pierce. Like that's the other card I'm playing around is I just don't want to run my one spell into Spell Pierce, but I guess this is the quote unquote bait spell for their counter. It's also castable through Spell Pierce, and then also gives me 2 creatures potentially to play around Spell Pierce. So my opponent has again no good attacks because my creatures all have power and toughness. If they attack with this, I just attack back for more. Fire my company, hit this, which just gives me a ton of options. Um, so I can get Finks. So I can get Finks, and then I have the chord for that combo. I could get Revoker, and then do something. Well, Revoker's clearly the worst of these. I don't really care about anything my opponent has on the battlefield. I could like preemptively shut off a plating, but I'm gonna combo before that matters. I think Spellskite was the guaranteed lock, and then I took Feeder over Finks because I was afraid of like Surgical or something random. Spellskite being the lock because it protects my stuff from random removal spell. And I'm really in no rush to do anything. Especially because I've reached the point where I can actually, even in the case of something random happening, I can add, like if they have double removal spells, like I figured if I went for it and they had like removal spell, plating off the top, I died, so I had no need to do anything because I was in such a hard lock position. Um, so I fire off EOT here with Spell Pierce mana up. I get my Angel. And then I wait to untap so that I can add a counter to my creatures with Gavany Township so I can just re-go off with Feeder. And so my opponent does something weird, which is Trick Bind there on the Angel. They should have Trick Bound this, and then I couldn't add a counter to the Feeder with Township like I do. And I just go off again, and then my opponent dies. It only delays the inevitable till their upkeep, but, it technically delays the inevitable. This matchup's scary. The Affinity deck's very powerful. I think it's always been close. I think the more linear like Wall of Roots Spellskite lists were a little better. Probably I'd say those were favored but could lose, whereas this is like close, but I think you're a little ahead potentially. But yeah, Affinity's just a good deck, and it's a linear slugfest, and you can win. I think my opponent made a mistake and sideboarded a little too heavily. I think that's an easy thing for either side to do in this matchup, and I think both sides just want to stay low to the ground. Barring extreme hate cards like Grafdigger's Cage or Kataki. Loading up on cards like Trickbind is just an easy way to draw like a medium hand and then just get exploited by, one. If I have like Path to Exiles, the Affinity deck can just like put things on the battlefield and then you die. And, the flip side, my opponent just had like Trickbinds and then I put things on the battlefield and they died.